we talked a little bit about how, um, the different styles of you approach things. So can you talk to me a little bit about how you've just been, you said you've been knocked down. I know you've metaphorically and physically have been punched in the mouth. We talked about
Yeah,
this.
a
Like
lot.
I still, a lot. Can you talk to me a little bit about a time that you've really had like this business challenge and how you've had to endure and get over the hump on something, and maybe how the resilience of the military has helped you get over it?
Okay. Yeah, I can give you two great examples actually. Um,
Yeah,
so I'm terrible with dates, by the way. So
that's
don't
cool.
knock me on that. When when COVID first was like the big news all over, like the first week or whatever, we were in Daytona. Me and Brittany were in Daytona, and we were at Daytona Bike Week, set up at the raceway.
Yeah,
And we've got this beautiful structure that we set up, giant 20-foot banners with our jewelry and Spartans all over them, and we go all out. Like we take the trailer out there, we set up, we get an Airbnb, and it is work, and it's a lot of money. When
hmm,
you have to get a space at a show, they're not giving them away.
they're not.
So you have to come out of pocket for that. You have to come out of pocket for the house you're going to rent or the hotel you're going to stay in. You got to get there with all the gas. You got to have all your jewelry made. Jewelry is not cheap to make. I do silver, gold, brass, and bronze. And I'll tell you what, when we go to a show, you're not going to a show without putting like 50 grand down to make jewelry to go there, because you can't go without being able to sell stuff. You have to
You
have
have to have inventory.
sizes, you have to have the inventory. So we, at this point, we're doing real well with the jewelry company. We're starting to, every show we're making more and more money, and people are recognizing us and they know us, and they already knew me from working with this other company as well. So we are doing great. We're in Daytona. We just invested like 75 grand in the company, and the show stops. Everybody's got to pack up. You got to go home. And we're like, whoa, we live in Arizona. I just spent all this money to make all this jewelry. I'm not going home. And they're like, okay, well, you're going to be the only one on the lot. So most everybody left, including the bikers that came down to spend money and party. So it was one of our worst shows. Then we had to get back home. All the restaurants are closed, gas stations are closed. We have damn near no money because we didn't make anything. All the money that we did make, we're putting into fuel and the diesel coming back. And we get home, and all these other shows just start canceling. Boom, boom, boom. So the five shows that we had lined up, not happening.
Done.
So instead of going out and you know, making 20 grand on whatever my investment was for that show, I'm making nothing. And traffic on our website, me and Brittany we're new. Like, we're new business owners. We didn't know how important it was to have a presence online and to promote things. We didn't know how to do that. So we started teaching ourselves, and we did okay. We're barely scraping by every month, missing a bill here, paying this bill next month, eviction notices on the doors, several times. My car is going to get repoed. Like, all these things are happening, and I'm like, what can I do? Like, what can I do? Like, I've already invested 5 years into this. What am I going to do? So we fell back on what I always do. I started selling my Jordans, and I won't tell you how many pairs of Jordans I have, because it'll just sound like I'm bragging, and I could care less. I have collected sneakers my whole life. Let's just say that. And I mean, from the 80s, I had sneakers. So we start selling my Jordans and my Kobe's, and I need to pay rent. I got to sell 2 pair of Jordans. I need to pay the car payment. I need to sell a pair of Jordans. I need to sell my Jordan poster that I had since high school. I need to
The
sell,
wings.
like, dude, all the things
Oh,
that I had, I started selling because they're not as important as my family. And
right.
that's a hard pill to swallow because I've like, again, I'm going to use a very select word, and it's a word that makes me cringe now. I coveted things. I coveted my Jordans. I coveted my collection. I coveted my jewelry. I thought all these things that I collected made me cooler than I was. And I think a lot of young people think that. If I get the new hot thing, that makes me cool. If I get new rims on my truck, that's going to make me cool. We invest all this money that we work so hard for into things that don't make you a better person. You might think that, but they don't. You are a better person by being a better person, not by what you acquire. Tangible objects come and go, and when we're dead and gone, nobody's going to care if you had a Gucci backpack. Nobody's going to care if you had a 1985 Jordan 1 Chicago. Nobody cares. But
No.
I'm also a smart salesman, and I knew that I could get into that world pretty quickly. So I start selling all my shoes off. And I've done that for years and years. I always fall back on making a little bit of money hustling shoes. So we took a trip up to Vegas, and I told a guy that owns Urban Necessities. His name's JC. I told him, 2 J's. I told him I was going to be in Vegas and I was going to stop by his store and I wanted to talk to him. And he's like, "Yeah, man, that sounds great." He knew that I made jewelry and stuff. So I go up to Vegas and we sit down with him and his wife. He looks at my jewelry. I give him a Jordan piece. We become friends. And I'm like, you know what? I can do exactly what this guy's doing. He's talented. He can speak to people. He knows the history of this stuff. I know all this history. I'm going to go back to Arizona and I'm going to open a store. So me and Brittany went to a local mall, and all the shops were closed because nobody was making any money. And I talked to him and I said, "Hey, I want to rent that corner store over there, and I want to resell shoes and have vintage clothing and sports memorabilia and my jewelry. And this is my company. Here's my social media. Here's all this. If you think I'm a good fit, I'd like to talk to someone." 30 days later, we were in the store. We didn't have any of the shoe shelving. We didn't have clothing racks. We went and hustled and bought everything on OfferUp and made our own stuff and painted and redid the floors. Me and Brittany did all this. And in a month, we had a store that was just wall to wall Jordans and Kobe's, old jerseys, vintage game worn stuff. And the kids in the area didn't have anything like that. And they were flocking into our store. So now we're consigning shoes from other people and selling them for them and taking a cut. And we're rolling. Everything's good. But the culture wasn't for me. So I'm getting people in the store that are didn't have the same moral base as me, didn't have the same ethics as me. And I started getting burnt out because we're there, 12 hours a day, every day. It's just me and Brittany. We didn't have any employees because we couldn't pay for them. So
Yep.
the store is open every day except for Christmas and Thanksgiving. So we are working nonstop. And it just started getting overwhelming. and they kept raising our lease. They kept raising the rent. And when our rent went from like $3,900 to almost $8,000, I was done.
Done.
So I was done. You know what? I got a call from a buddy that said, "Hey, this Warrior Rising thing is happening. I think you'd kill it. Do you want to do it? When is it? Next month. Done deal." I called them all. I said, "Hey, we're moving out. I'm going to be out by this date, and that's it." So we closed our store down and got ready for Warrior Rising simultaneously, which was it was like a tornado of anxiety. And then my dad died. And then we went to Warrior Rising and he came back. We don't have a store anymore. And I was low. I felt like everything in my world was going to crumble. I thought my family was going to be homeless. I thought I was going to fail my wife as a man. And my wife was going to I'm going to get real deep right now.
Go for it, brother. I'm here for you.
My wife was going to a doctor's appointment to get a sonogram of our son. And she knew, you can only hide being depressed and sad so much. I wasn't acting like myself. I wasn't treating her right. I wasn't keeping up with my relationships. And I wanted to be off this planet, bro. And my wife had the forethought to take my pistol with her to this appointment. And she drives away. I had everything planned out, man. I knew exactly what I was going to do so that when the EMTs got here, they didn't have to clean up a bunch of stuff. I had it all planned out. I was going to go and I was going to do the worst thing anyone could ever do. I was going to take my own life. I went and looked for my gun and it was gone. And I was so mad. I was so mad at my wife because I knew she took my gun. And then my phone rang. And it was Rocco Vargas, Vincent Vargas. And he's like, hey, Anvil, what is going on? Oh, nothing, man. I'm just doing some stuff around the house, trying to get things rolling, bro. And he said clear as day, he's like, bullshit. This is your time with me. You talk to me right now. What is going on? And I just unloaded. And I said, bro, I want you to be a part of my men's group. And I want you to come in and I want you to heal. You're a good guy. You've got a lot of energy. You've got a lot of talent. I want you to come and give me a chance to help get your life on track. And I had nothing else to say but yes. Like I wasn't gonna go down a bottle of aspirin or slice my wrists or anything goofy. So I said, all right, man. And he brought me in without any form of payment, and he let me become part of this men's group. And I started feeling like I had a team again because it's all guys. It's all guys, the majority of which were military guys. And we meet every Wednesday through a Zoom call, and we talk about life, and we help each other, and we uplift each other. And we did a bunch of physical stuff. We wrote, I wrote a book. I have a whole book that I wrote last year that I haven't published yet. And through writing that book, I started healing because I wrote my traumas down. I wrote my missteps down and the things that I need to apologize for and take ownership of and atone for. And by doing that, I healed so much more than I could ever imagine. And it brought me back to a good relationship with God, which is not part of the men's group. That's just where it went for me because I grew up Catholic. It brought me back to a place where I know that I'm here as a blessing, and to take that away is not something I ever want to do. And I know that I'm here for a purpose to help others, and my story can help others. And that's why meeting people like you and doing shows and talking about things in a way that's real, maybe it helps another guy out there that needs to reach out to somebody. And, I think my lucky stars that my wife is that intuitive, and that Rocco is such a good guy to me, and believed in me enough to take me under his wing a little bit. And now I'm still part of that group, and I'm one of the mentors. I'm one of the team members on that group, and I get to impact others' lives. And I'm still not where I want to be business wise, but I have the momentum and direction that I'm supposed to have. And I have my marching orders from God now. And I'm living through faith, and I'm just doing it.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, man. This is what you need, stories on your show, because your show impacts people. And this platform for you is going to help others. And me not telling my real story and not telling people, that I haven't always been great. I've been a piece of shit to people. I've treated people badly. I've had an ego. That is no way to live your life. You can do so many more great things by humbling yourself, by addressing your own issues, and not worrying about what others are doing. Do
Yep.
you. Do
Yep.
you.
So, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, buddy.
I had a chance to go on Yahoo News. I don't know if I told you this.
Uh-uh.
So I met you November 10th.
Uh-huh.
November 9th, I got invited to a business segment on Yahoo News.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, holy moly, like a national broadcast.
Yeah, buddy.
Like, I had this beautiful plan. So you talk about Vincent Vargos, Rocco.
It's my
And
dog, man.
Great mentor, great guy. I've never
Yeah.
met him, but I know who he is. And
He's a real deal, man. He's salt to the earth.
I believe it. So I was talking to one of my mentors.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny. It's like, because this community, if you really want to be a part of it and you really want to give back to others, it's giving to you. One of my mentors is Mike Sorelli. And I shared that with you before we got on the call. Salt of the earth. I'm humbled to have him as a mentor. We've had some really amazing conversations. And
Warfighter hero.
Yep. And I've had the chance to like talk to him about some pretty awesome stuff about business stuff, some leadership stuff, some thorny stuff, and I was telling him, hey man, I got this great opportunity. He's like, dude, you're gonna crush it. You're gonna kill it. And I carry this book with me everywhere I go, and I'm gonna plug it again. It's called The Everyday Warrior by Mike, and like it's like highlighted and it's got all these marks and stuff in it because like I love it.
Now I got to read something else, man.
It's a great book. I'll send you a copy if you want.
Cool. I would love one.
Yeah, I'll send you a copy. And like that's how I met Mike, is because I through this book. And he's like, hey Zach, you know what I do before I go on all these interviews? I decided to just say fuck it and be me. He's like, do that. Take a deep breath and just relax.
Yeah.
And so I had all these quotes out, and he's like, hey, I just went on this. I talked about, veteran businesses after World War II, and he's giving me some coaching tips. That's the type of guy Mike is. And so like I had the book out and I was going to like talk about Mike as a mentor and do all these things, right? Because like I believe in Mike. And I just texted with him yesterday or today, and I'm like, dude, I believe in you. I'm really proud of you for what you're doing, Mike. And anyway, I digress. And so I get this opportunity. I'm on there. I'm on live Yahoo streaming, 4 o'clock business news. And they're like, hey, Zach, Pillars of Valor coffee. So I have a coffee company, right? We talked
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that. And they're like, how'd you start your coffee company? Like, what inspired you to do it? And I'm like, well, I almost killed myself. And they're like,
Whoa, because that's not no one's waiting to hear that.
right? And I'm like, holy crap. Like, I don't even really talk about it.
Yeah,
Like my kid, my kids didn't know.
yeah.
Like my parents didn't know. My family didn't know. And
I'm
like
glad you're here, brother.
same.
I'm really glad you're here.
And I share
Don't you
that with you
ever
because you just
leave.
shared. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I share that with you because it's hard.
it's hard, man.
And people get lost.
Yep.
And that's the easiest way to describe it is you get lost and you panic.
Yeah.
It's a panic. It's an insurmountable panic.
You feel like there's nowhere to go and that nothing you do is right and you're never going to be able to get it right.
And
And
you just
it's so heavy, man. And a lot of veterans feel it. And a
yeah.
lot of veterans feel it and a lot of veterans need to actively seek some sort of relief. Whatever that is. The veterans and anybody that struggles with mental illness or PTSD, people need help.
And
And
it's, you
and
know, it's
when you
look, dude,
recognize it, you gotta get those people the help. Like
and look,
yeah, you got to be
it
aware of it. You got to be able to see when your people are struggling, and you gotta be their light sometimes. And I've done it a million times, man. I've had so many phone calls at whatever hour at night. Hey, man, can you talk to this guy? I don't know how to talk to him. Hey, Paul, can you talk to my buddy? He just got back from Afghanistan and he's talking crazy shit right now, and I don't know what to say to him. Give me his number. Let me call him.
and it's and like and it's a crazy thing and like and what the reason I want to share this and like I had no idea we were going to talk about this tonight. So um
Surprise.
yeah, hey man, it's real deal. Like we're authentic on this show. We're high budget. I've told someone like this is a borrowed microphone. Um
You
uh
ever watch you ever watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
no.
No, there's a character on there that's pretty crazy, and he always does something that you don't expect, and he just says "wild card, bitches." That's kind of what this is. I'm
You
glad we're
know,
talking about this. People need to hear it.
yeah, and like you got a big burly guy like you and a little cuddly guy like me. Um but nonetheless, I think people need to understand and hear this stuff. And it needs to get normalized.
Yeah,
And so we grew up with parents in a generation that you don't talk about feelings,
yeah, for
right? Like
sure.
I
That's
tell my kids,
that. I mean, me and my dad had the best relationship, but we also had a tough relationship because we didn't talk about feelings.
yep. And so part of leaders lead is lift people up, share encouraging stories, share stories about leadership, how it transcends from leadership into the business world. We've done that,
Yeah,
but we're also going to talk about it's okay to say you need help,
yeah.
and that's what we're doing right here, right
Please,
now.
please say help. If you need it
Like
out there, if anyone's watching, please seek out help because the
the
world's a
best,
better place with you in it. There's only one
the
of
best,
you. The world is a better place with all of us in it.
yeah, the
Maybe not
best thing
all
you
of
can
us,
do
but
is, um,
there's a couple people
here's
I'd probably smoke without any remorse, but whatever.
there's
But I
the
digress.
yeah, there's the best thing you can do is sit down, It's like getting lost. The first thing you can do is sit down and collect your thoughts.
Yeah.
Or like if you're in a hole and you keep digging the hole, stop digging. Um, anyway, so Rad, thanks for sharing that story. I thought I would
Thank you.
reciprocate. And man, you continue to do great things for this community. What you
I
do
try
with
my
your
best, man.
business,
I don't always do everything right, but I try.
dude, showing up's half the battle, right? You show
Yeah.
up,
Yeah, man.
and people don't understand that showing up is winning.
Yeah.
And for what you do to show up is commendable.